You are investing in a company that has competitors. You are investing in a company that has customers, that its earnings is predicated on how satisfied those customers are, how much those customers will refer this company to other friends so that it becomes a multiplier effect, how good their sales teams are, how good their marketing is, how good they grab a market share from their current competition. And that's why it's so important that you don't just buy based on brand, that you buy based on your knowledge on how good the company is as well. Okay, guys, so we are back once again for another IPO analysis. And I got a lot of questions from all of you asking what's my take on the Converge ICT IPO and more details about it. So I got over a large number of requests just over the past few days, considering that we're still at the very early stages of this IPO. So what I'm gonna do, since we still have a long way to go before the listing date, I'm gonna make this a long series. We're gonna drill down and talk about certain aspects and topics about the Converge IPO. We're gonna talk about the business model of the company. We're gonna talk about the origin story, the leaders, the founders. We're also gonna talk about how does it compare up against Dito. And then another video, how does it compare up against the incumbents, PLDT, Globe? Then we're gonna talk about the details of the IPO. Then similar to what I did with Mart, we're gonna look at compare the size of the IPO. We're gonna compare what could be its possible movements considering the number of shares that will be sold and the amount that will be raised. Then we're gonna talk about the fundamentals of the company. Then we're also gonna talk about the valuations of the company as well. Plus, all of the other questions that you guys will send out. So consider this to be our first video. Consider this to be our primer. Consider this to be the precursor to the videos that are to come. So if you guys are excited, comment below. Comment, I want to learn more. Comment, ICT. Comment, I'm excited. If you want more of this. But again, feel free to put your comments, suggestions, and things that you want to learn more about the ICT. By the way, before I also begin, I have the assumption already that you guys know what an IPO is. If you don't know what an IPO is yet, we have videos popping up here and I'm gonna put it in the description below on what an IPO is, what's the details, are IPOs cheap, are IPOs expensive, what's the pros and the cons, why can't you use technical analysis every time there's an IPO, and everything that you need to know about the IPO. I've created videos about it as well. So for this video, we're not gonna define anymore what an IPO is, but we're just gonna give you details, generalizations, specifics regarding Converge ICT solutions. So let's begin. First of all, the deal. If everything goes according to what's planned, 35.92 billion pesos, and making this IPO one of the biggest IPOs to date. If I remember properly also, going back now, the bigger IPOs are the ones from Gokongwei, Cebu Pacific, Robinson's Retail Holdings. I also know Shell, Pilipinas Shell, which was just a few years ago, was also a big one. Then you also add Cemex as one of the larger IPOs in history. Again, comparing this to Mart, this IPO is around 35.92 billion pesos. Please also remember, Altos Property Ventures was not an IPO. It was only a listing by way of introduction. So if this pans out, this will be a good follow-on IPO after Mart. Mart was only a 1 billion peso IPO. So in terms of size, Mart 1 billion, Converge ICT 35.92 billion. So it's relatively massively larger. In the next set of videos also, I'm going to talk about the primary shares, secondary shares that will be sold in this, but the total number of shares that's planned to be sold is around 1.5 billion shares, and the maximum IPO price as of today is around 24 pesos per share. So please remember that the final price will be a couple of days prior to the offering period, and a couple of days also close to the listing period, which as of now, the 24 pesos is not yet the final price. It's what everyone pegs it to be if it hits the maximum. And if the maximum IPO price at 24 is sold, multiply it by the 1.5 billion shares, that's where they got the 35.92 billion pesos that will be raised in the deal. Now, next thing you need to know, when will the IPO happen? The listing date is October 26, 2020. And I got a lot of questions from people that, can I already buy? I want to be ahead. I want to be one of the first ones to get in this. The offering period, though, is still October 13 to around October 19, 2020. So it's still a great way off. So for those who want to enter already, you're a bit early. It's still a bit early as of this point in time. And just to also manage expectations for the retailers watching this, IPOs of this size, normally a large chunk already will be taken by institutions, not just local institutions but also foreign institutions. But don't worry, there's still allocations for small stock investors. Up to a maximum of 100,000 pesos you'll be able to get an allocation. But again, it will depend also if it's oversubscribed, similar to what happened to Mart. If it's the more oversubscribed it is, the harder it will be for investors to get a larger piece of the pie. Meaning, you may still get an allocation, but it won't be what you want it to be if it's massively oversubscribed. So those are things that you need to know. We talked about so far the shares to be sold, the offering period. Founder of this is Dennis Anthony Uy. We're gonna do a deep dive on him on the next videos. People would say, Dennis Uy again. No, this is different Dennis Uy. Dennis Anthony Uy is from Pampanga. Dennis Uy of Dito is from Mindanao. This one is backed by Warburg Pincus, and they've invested over 225 million US dollars in equity. I received a lot of questions. Why didn't Converge ICT go? Why isn't this part of the third telco? Please remember, the bid happened 2018. That's where a lot of the companies connected to the telco space did their bid. Even now, telecoms did their bid. But it just so happened that the winning bid came from, at that time, Miss Latel, which is now Dito Telecom. So what Dito Telecoms is doing is their fight is with mobile, 4G, 5G. So Converge ICT is mainly on the broadband fixed line market, which I think is so interesting right now because, number one, as you all know, in this new normal, majority of the people, not just in the Philippines but around the world, are staying at home. When you're staying at home, you need internet, but not just internet. A lot of people that need high-speed internet use broadband, fixed broadband, which I think, and you can research this, and we're gonna do a deeper dive on this, is still underserved. If you have 100 plus million SIM cards in the Philippines, what makes this so interesting is that not every household yet has a fixed broadband, and as a bigger chunk of the economy and as a bigger chunk of people would need this because this is part of the stay-at-home economy, you would see a larger demand of this in the next few years. And what's so interesting about that is currently stats have been showing that there is around 17% use of broadband in the Philippines for 2020, and this would increase to 32% by 2025. And please remember, the more people watching videos like this, the need and the demand for faster internet at home is so important and is so relevant. So this is just a teaser, but we're gonna talk more about the company, its market share, and its earnings. But currently, as of the time this video is being made, Converge ICT has 54% of the high-speed residential fixed broadband. And as of 2019, revenues are already at 9.14 billion pesos. So that makes them already a company coming into this IPO that's making money, making a decent amount of money already in the telecom space. So there, if you guys are excited about this, as we do a deep dive, as what I've mentioned at the start, we're going to talk about the business model, how they make money, what's their income drivers. We're going to talk about the leaders, the founders of the company. We're going to talk about how does it go up against Dito, up against TEL, up against GLO, more details about the IPO, the fundamentals of the company, the valuations, its market share, and how do I feel about it? Where do I think it's also headed? I've seen so many people get excited about this, similar to every IPO that's out there. It's nice to be excited. However, since you're putting your hard-earned money into this, it's very, very important that you don't just buy, you don't just invest based on excitement, you don't just buy, you don't just invest based on what you feel, but you buy, you invest based on data, logic, and to see if it fits your long-term strategy and to see if it fits your technique on you buying and selling. Because if you're just buying just because everyone else is buying, that's wrong. You don't build skill that way. And no matter how good the company is, no matter how much it's talked about, what's very, very important is you drill down and do your own due diligence. As of today, we don't know if the stock is gonna go up. We don't know if it's gonna go down on IPO date. We don't know how it will be in the next 6 months or 1 year. But what we do know is this. If you follow your strategy, if you follow your plan, you create your parameters of how you will buy and sell this, regardless if you're trading this for the short term or if you want to be a long-term investor in this, that's when you start to win. Because when you create a framework that you will buy this based on your risk tolerance, based on your timeline, based on the knowledge that you have, based on your own conviction, that's what will make your trade stronger. No matter if later on at some point there will be profit taking and it will go down, you will not be shaken. Whether also it will reach bearishness, there will be some patches of it not really going up. If you know and you know what you're getting into, that's how you will win. I will make this video series because I want that you don't just listen to what I say, you listen to what the numbers are, what the data is, and you drill down, you crunch, that you form an informed decision, because that's what will help you mature and grow as an investor. And please remember this, don't just buy just because it gets recommended. Buy it because it's something that you studied, it's something that you know, and that's how you mature as an investor, and that's how you become a better investor. Please remember this. I know that tech is the future, and for tech to happen, it requires faster broadband. It requires a lot of people accessing the internet at faster speeds. There's no question about it. But at the end of the day, you are not investing in the entire broadband technology. You are investing in a company that has competitors. You are investing in a company that has customers, that its earnings is predicated on how satisfied those customers are, how much those customers will refer this company to other friends so that it becomes a multiplier effect, how good their sales teams are, how good their marketing is, how good they grab a market share from their current competition. And that's why it's so important that you don't just buy based on brand, that you buy based on your knowledge on how good the company is as well. So I'm excited to go about this. I'm excited to talk more about this, to give you more details, to give you more insights about the company. And I hope that as we start to go on this deep dive from now, July 2020 up until October 2020, I hope that you learn a lot. But as you learn a lot also, I hope that this helps you mature as an investor, that you don't just ask anong stock magandang bilhin, but you ask ano yung meron sa stock na yun, ano yung mga parameters, ano yung mga indicators on why you are buying that stock. Because I'll tell you honestly, if you don't know why you're buying that stock, it would be better not that you don't buy it yet, that you don't rely on other people on why you're buying it. You have to rely on yourself. You have to rely on your analysis. Because at the end of the day, guess what? It's your money. It's your responsibility. And I say this all the time. No one will take good care of your money more than you. It's your money. It's your responsibility. That's why it's you who needs to take the time to learn more about it. Now, interactive part, so that I know what you will prioritize more, or how will we do the videos more. I want to know, what do you want me to prioritize on? The valuations of the company, the fundamentals of the company, details of the IPO, meaning primary shares, secondary shares, proceeds, etc. Who are the ones selling. Then I also want to know, do you want me to talk about the sector first? Do you want me to talk about the technology first? Do you want me to talk about does it fare against Dito, TEL? Or do you want me to talk about the owners, the founders, the leaders, etc.? Put it in the comment section what do you want me to prioritize first, and that's the set of videos that we're gonna do, so that there's so many ways to talk about this, and I just want to do something first that you guys want to do more, so that it becomes a bit interactive as well. So there, I'll end with this. Please remember that when you enter and you invest, you always think about that investment as an asset. You always come in with the mindset that every time you invest in the stock market, you are buying a piece of the company. Now, my mentality in this is the far majority of Filipinos, the far majority of people are not investing. The far majority of people would rather spend their money on something that they don't need, that later on that item that they don't need won't have any value anymore. So if you are hesitating, if you are scared of coming into the market and you already did your due diligence and you studied already, sayang. Don't waste the time. Don't waste the time that you have. Double down, study, and invest today. Why? Better that you invest, even though there's risk, as compared to buying something, buying a rubber shoe, buying the 10th rubber shoe na hindi mo naman gagamitin because we're on lockdown, because we're in quarantine, that later on, 5-10 years from now, that rubber shoe won't have any value anymore. That gadget won't have any value anymore. Instead of just buying the phone, instead of just buying the gadget that you won't need, buy the company that people use that gadget for, na dun dumadaan yung service, so that you shift your mentality from just being a consumer to an investor. The reason why I'm so passionate about making videos like this is because, number one, it's time for more of us, more Filipinos, to move from merely being consumers to investors. It's time that you shift your mentality from just merely spending to investing. It's time that you shift the way you think, that instead of you making those big companies rich, it's time that you be part of it. It's time that you be part of the growth. And that's what the stock market basically is. The stock market is not just you just buying numbers that goes up and then you sell. For people who want to be long-term in the market, you now have the ability that if you cannot start your own telecom company, you cannot start your own broadband company, you become a massive investor in it. You become a partner in it, so that while you're busy with your job, while you're busy with your business, having investments will allow you to make your money grow. Having investments will move you from just merely being a consumer and make you an investor. And that's the goal of this. I've been talking about stocks already for almost a decade. Not just investing in it, but talking about it, sharing about it. And that's why YouTube is so amazing, because it allows me to amplify the message that if there's one thing that's so important, is you need to build assets, even though na may risk siya, because those assets will make money for you. If you're sleeping and your money is not working, that means you don't have investments yet. You need to have assets so that whether you're sleeping, eating, at the beach, at the mountain, your money is working hard for you, tireless for you, 24/7. So I hope you guys got a lot from this. I hope this is something that encouraged you and inspired you. By the way, if you're new to this channel, my name is Marvin Germon. I'm a stock market trader and investor, and we make daily videos about investing, trading, giving you details about the market, because there's just one goal: to help you, educate you, so that you learn more about the market. So if you're new to this, subscribe, smash that bell so you get updated every time I come up with new content about investing, about trading, about helping you reach your goals of financial freedom. If this video added value to you, I'd appreciate it if you could like and put a comment below and share this to more of your friends, because we really want to see more and more Filipinos become educated financially so that they can reach their goals of financial freedom. So that's it for now. We have more links down below for the videos that I created, for the online courses, for the books. Everything you need to know about me, about the site, or everything that I use is in the description below. You can just click them. I'm excited to go through this series with you. I hope you guys are as well, and I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, guys, and God bless you all.